All of us have thought about this at some point. You're walking, and all of a sudden, something bursts out of the woods and starts chasing you down. All you can hear, the padding of something's feet hitting the ground as it's chasing after you. You're looking back over your shoulder, hoping that it's not getting any closer, and fear just takes over your entire body. The feeling of being chased is something that a lot of us fear, and it's a situation that I actually put myself in many years ago. It was 2016, and I had taken a trip out to Spain. I wanted to see the country, learn the language, and I never thought that this would end with me being chased by something with the intent to kill me. I toured the country a little bit, and I made my way over to Pamplona. For those of you that don't know Pamplona, it is a beautiful city that is famous for San Fermin. I got there, I bought my clothes that I needed for everything, and I showed up at the starting line. I remember hearing a little bell go off, the sound ringing in my mind. My heart sank as I began to sprint as fast as I could. As I started to hear it, the pounding feet of bulls behind me. I heard their clopping through the ground, the cobblestone chipping side to side as they were charging their way up. And I could almost hear the wind rushing on the points of their horns as they were running into the crowd. I remember hearing the screams of people behind me as they were dodging out of the way, some people nearly escaping as horns would come flying by their body as they were dodging either side, some people hitting the ground and rolling as fast as they could under these knee-high wooden fences just big enough for humans to slip by under or potentially climb over. I could hear the bulls. They were getting closer, but I was running as fast as I could. And at that moment I was thinking, why did I sign up for this? Why did I sign up for the running of the bulls? I was 17, I definitely wasn't old enough to be doing it, and yet I did need parental consent. I kept running until I got to this section where it was cobblestoned buildings on either side and nowhere to run. As I was getting further and further in, I had quite a head start on these bulls, but they were hot on my trail. I was getting further up into this shopping district as people were dodging and jumping and flinging open shop doors to jump in. Actually, one of them flung open a shop door and jumped in, and the bull tried to chase him in after, slamming into the wall, falling, getting back up, and continuing its run. At this point, I had realized these bulls didn't just want to get to the end of this. They were trying to take down as many people as they could along the way. Actually, during that run, at that same stretch, they didn't quite get gored, which is when the horn comes through their body, but they got picked up and thrown. They ended up breaking their leg. I was terrified as the bulls were coming up, inching closer and closer and closer. And as they did, I started to think, what am I going to do? Am I going to hit the ground and hope they don't try to get me as I drop? Am I going to try to hug the wall as they scrape beside me? Am I going to try to jump over them? Honestly, people were doing it as they were trying to get on the bull's face and over. For most people, the bulls were just weaving in and out, but every once in a while, they would choose a very lucky person that they would specifically charge down until that person was in their rearview mirror, and then they would pick the next. For me, I almost felt like these beady eyes of the bulls were on my back. Maybe it was just paranoia. Maybe it was hearing the sound of the horns scrape along the side of these cobblestone walls as I was running. And a fact that someone had told me not too long before started ringing in my head. When we humans are running uphill, we get slower as we're running up. But bulls, their front legs are shorter than their back legs. So actually, as they're running uphill, they gain speed. So I felt these things get closer faster and faster and faster until they were inches behind me. And I had a split-second decision that I needed to make. What was I going to do? I hit the ground and I rolled and rolled, and I felt one of the air of their nostrils as they were running by come onto my body, the heat on my shoulder as I was rolling on the ground. And they kept running forward. All of the people in front of me breaking as these bulls were trying to push their way through, other people grabbing me up on the ground, off the ground, as one of the rogue bulls behind was finally starting to make its way up, pulled me, and we all kept running to try to get away from this rogue bull. It turned around and it spun on everyone, and it gave me a little bit of reprieve as the bull stopped and spun and started chasing people. But I knew this bull was going to catch back up to me. We kept running, and we started to see it. We started to see the gate of the arena, the golden gate where the people were running in, and you could see the first bulls starting to make it through. Some people had already made it into the arena, but the bulls were starting to power through and into the arena, and there was just one bull left. The problem with the gate to the arena is it was very narrow. There was basically a room for 1.5 bulls. One could go in at a time, and if you were caught in there with it, you had to hope that bull didn't care about you. So I was running towards this gate. I was getting closer and closer, and the bull behind me, the rogue bull, started to correct itself as people started to ring bells and slap it to try to get it in the right direction. And I started to realize this gate that I was seeing, I was going to make it there as the bull was getting there as well. It was so much faster than me. And I had a decision. Am I going to try to beat the bull through this gate, or am I going to try to hang back behind and let it slip by? But this bull had already gone rogue. I had to give it my all. So I turned on the afterburners and I started sprinting as fast as I could down this narrow corridor. I heard the bull's clomping feet. It started to redirect onto someone else. And at that moment, I knew I made the right decision. Those few extra seconds were all that I needed. I felt a heavy heart for that person that the bull had switched focus on, but I knew that I had to keep running because eventually this bull is coming through this gate and I need to be on the other side of it when it does. So I keep running. The bull gets recorrected again. It actually throws someone out of the gate, luckily missing the horns as they pushed him out of the gate. I kept running, and then I heard all of the people start separating on either side. This bull decided to start charging straight forward. And then I looked down at what I was wearing, the San Fermin clothes. It was white on top, but they wear these bright red belt satchels around their waist that have flowing tethers. And of course, to run, you have to wear it. It was flapping in the wind, basically honing that bull in on me. As I started sprinting as fast as I could, I got to the gate. But the problem was, it wasn't just getting to the gate, it was getting through the corridor. The bull's feet were pounding harder and harder as it was coming into the arena. I could hear it starting to make its way as the echoes were changing and it was starting to enter the beginning chamber. I ran as fast as I could. It was literally only 15 feet. I have to be able to make it. I sprinted as fast as I could. I felt my heart beating out of my chest, and there was nothing that I could do but just try to run as fast as I could. I looked back over my shoulder for a split second, and I saw it. The mean black eyes and the white tipped bull, horns on the bull coming straight at me, and I was the only one in the corridor. There was no dodging it. There was no rolling on the ground and hoping. This bull saw me. And I knew when I turned back and made eye contact with it that it saw me. So I pressed on. I ran as fast as I could as I started to hear this bull catching closer and closer. 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot. And at that moment, I got to the side of the arena and I saw it. And I quickly spun and put my back to the wall as the bull rushed by and through the crowd of people that were still there watching in awe. And then all of a sudden, a shocking realization on their face that this bull was now plowing into them as they split like the Red Sea, as the bull went straight through and back into the back where people were banging on gongs to get its attention. And I lived the experience. And if you want to hear more of my crazy travel stories, click subscribe. I can't wait to have you a part of my community. See you soon, and keep being you.